Hello and welcome to the Franchise Tag podcast with me, Andrew, and I'm joined by Adam. We're not joined by Freddie again this week, but we don't mind that because me and Adam have got enough waffling between the two of us. We're here to go over the preview show for week 7. We've already got one game done and in the books. That was the Broncos versus Cleveland. Adam, did you get to see any of the highlights? Did you watch any of it?
Was there any highlights? There wasn't a lot of highlights, was there? It was a bit...
I mean, it was a pretty slow game, but I think the thing to take from that possibly is the Browns had a lot of backups in and they stepped up. So I think that's one thing to take away from it, from the highlight reel of seeing Johnson do what he did. I don't know whether you've seen any of the stuff that's come out on social media about him DMing everyone prior to the Alliance League starting.
Oh, right. No, I haven't.
So obviously he was cut from the Saints after he was training camp, and the first season he was picked up, and he was without a team. So he DM'd every single Alliance football team saying, "Can I come and play for you? Can I send you my highlight reel? Here it is. I've done this at college. I've done, I was drafted by the Saints. Blah blah blah. Can I have a second chance?" And now he's performing on big night games on prime time. So
we spoke about it very quickly, didn't we, in the fantasy episode when we were talking about which one to pick up, and I vaguely remember him playing a couple of games last year when there was a few injuries, and he looked all right then. So I think he's obviously talented. So
yeah, he definitely proved that. That O-line's beat up at Cleveland. They had a backup quarterback in, so he managed to produce good. He had 147 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah. So
I mean, that's pretty decent. But that one's in the books. We're here to discuss what's coming up today. We're only a few hours away from the game starting. So should we start from the top? I think the top on my list is Washington Packers. Do you want to start with that as it's your team?
Yeah, I mean, I think in this particular one, Washington have been pretty poor, haven't they? I mean, they've really struggled this year. I think a lot of it is probably because of Ryan Fitzpatrick going down injured. But the big surprise is the defense. It just hasn't really worked as well as what it has done before. And, they're currently ranked 24th in the league. It's not great. I think personally, when it comes to Green Bay, I kind of feel like we haven't really gone out and blown anyone away. We've kind of been quite workmanlike with a lot of our games, but at the same time, we've always looked just a cut above the teams that we've played. So it's been quite relatively easy for them. I don't see much changing. I think it'll be exactly the same again, and it won't be a massive win. I think there's potential for some big wins this week, but I think the Packers won't be a massive win, but they will do enough to make sure they get through, and they've got a good record at home, so I can't see them losing it, to be honest.
Yeah, there was rumours this week building up to today that Ryan Fitzpatrick was going to be fit and possibly play today, wasn't there?
There was, but it's come out, hasn't it, that he's still on crutches. So
yeah, I think today it was said that Washington are going to remain with Taylor Heineke. So that's a bit unfortunate. Now there's going to be a bit of controversy. I know a lot of fantasy players have dropped Heineke onto their bench and stuff like that. I think we discussed it on the main show on the Tuesday, how disappointing, it was Freddie's main point, how disappointing the Washington Redskins defense has been, or Washington football team, should I say. Still getting used to that. It's just surprising. I think with the offensive talent that you've got at the Packers, it still seems to be clicking quite well with those three names, with Rodgers, Jones and Adams. So I can't see it. You haven't lit up the world yet, Green Bay. I think they've just been coasting, which isn't a bad thing. Get hot coming into the playoffs is how Brady's always done it. So I can't see the Packers losing that one. They just got more superior talent on offense, and that, like we say, that defense has struggled. So I think that should be a comfortable victory for Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers there. There's another big game up next. I think it's probably one to watch for this week because it could determine a lot of people's seasons, and that's the Chiefs versus the Titans.
Yeah, I think I mean, they've got the line at over 57.5. I mean, I think it's going to be points everywhere in this game. Currently, you've got two defenses, haven't you, that can't really do a lot. I mean, Kansas City defense has really struggled, and the Tennessee Titans a little bit better, but not much better, to be honest. So I'd expect a really high scoring game in this one. I'm going to go for the Titans. I think that with Derrick Henry, I just can't see them stopping him. They've struggled to stop him before. And I think with them being at home, I think this is another opportunity for them to get a win in quite a weak division. I mean, the Colts have not been great because they've had a tough schedule. And I think that they're going to start improving, but the rest of that division's not really that hard. And so I can see the Titans and the Colts eventually pulling clear quite easily. The Chiefs have just been a bit disappointing, predominantly because of the defense. I mean, we spoke about them not that long ago, and they've got the number one quarterback, the number one wide receiver, the number one tight end. But at the end of the day, you can score as many points as you like. If your defense isn't going to do much, it's going to be a problem. And I can't help but feel that they're just going to probably struggle again when it comes to the defense. And so I just can't really see what's going to happen, in order for that to change. Everyone likes Derrick Henry. I mean, he's 4-7 to get an anytime touchdown. It's ridiculously short. But at the same time, if you go to other ones, they're looking at 4-1 on. So if you go to Bet365, you get 4-7. It's not a bad price compared to the rest. 5-1 first touchdown. If they get the ball first, you just don't know, because I just can't see the Chiefs stopping them.
Yeah, I'm conflicted with this one because for some reason I'm not sold on the Titans yet. A lot of people are coming out and saying, no, they're the real deal. They're a good organization. They've got their stuff together here. They had that dodgy lose against the Jets, but bar that, they've looked very convincing in all their other games. But I don't know whether it's something about me not being convinced about their defense, because their offense is definitely working. And now they've got healthy at wide receiver again, I think, this week. I think Julio Jones is back, isn't he? So, and AJ Brown's fully fit again. So that's always a plus side for that offense and winning games. I think the Chiefs have got something to prove this week, with a lot of critics on their back for some reason. I know they haven't been as good as what we thought, but they're still a very, very talented organization. So I'm going to stick with the Chiefs for this week. I think Mahomes is going to put that team on his back again and just literally go, look, I need to win this, so I will do everything I can to. And I think that's a dangerous position to put Mahomes in. So
yeah, I think it's entirely plausible for the Chiefs to win it. That offense will get you wins just by itself. I mean, Packers fan, so spent my life like it, but it's just one of them things where I think the reason they're getting a lot of stick is that everyone thought they were going to be what they were the last couple of years, and they're just not with that defense at the moment.
I think if anything, the front seven slightly more competitive than the secondary at the Chiefs at the moment. So with that might, I say it's hard to hinder Derrick Henry, isn't it? But looking at previous running backs that have gone up against them, I don't think anyone's particularly had like a massive field day. I think Washington struggled with the run game against them. But equally, like I said, they've got their wide receivers back. But I just got a feeling the Chiefs are going to have to pull something magic out, and they've got that ability to do that. So, and I'm quite hot on the Colts taking the Titans division. So maybe I'm being a bit biased just so I can prove it. I don't know. That sounds like me, but so we're a split on that one. But we move on to the next one. It's a game that I'm sure no one's interested in. It's one of them that's probably going to be a great game, but it's the Falcons versus the Dolphins.
I thought you were going to say the Jets Patriots, because that truly is a game that no one's interested in. The Falcons Dolphins. Yeah, so we've seen them both in the last 2 weeks, and I mean the Falcons did okay against the Jets, but it was the Jets, and the Dolphins looked poor. They really did, and they were going up against the Jags, and it's not exactly like it's a great team you're up against. So I mean, that's a real problem. I can see quite a few points in this game, actually. I mean, the Falcons have got the worst defense in the league. So with that in mind, you can see a few points coming up on this. And the Dolphins actually, again, another team that we thought were going to be great when it came to especially the defense, just hasn't really happened. So, we saw Kyle Pitts sort of come of age against the Jets. I think even with Calvin Ridley there, I can see Pitts having a really good game. He's 15-8 anytime touchdown. You've got Patterson, who's been great as well, same price. And I just think that they're probably just going to have, I think that experienced quarterback is just going to be enough to get them over the line on this one. To a lot of his throws, he kind of like had a couple of good drives against the Jags where they scored points that we saw. But I just kind of felt like a lot of the time when he was throwing the ball, he wasn't throwing the ball like through the player. It was going short a lot of the time. And that was a big problem, I think. And I don't know, they are at home, but I just feel like the Falcons have just got maybe that little bit more experience. Calvin Ridley's back, just that little bit extra compared to what the Dolphins have. And I think Devontae Parker's back for the Dolphins, but I don't really think it's going to make that much difference.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think after seeing the two teams in person and watching a Falcons team that all their wide receivers were basically out and Kyle Pitts go, I can be the man. I know I'm a rookie, but, I'll step up. And watching him step up and then knowing that Calvin Ridley is back, Cordell Patterson was a great option for them when we watched them down in London. So I think with that, I think Matt Ryan is just on another level of class than Tua. He's been there, he's done it, he knows the drill. And I think that's enough for two teams that are very evenly matched on paper. I think that experience and knowledgeable head on Matt Ryan is enough to see them over the line against the Dolphins, which have struggled a lot. I know Tua did look good in his first game, sort of stats-wise, but like you say, we watched it. So we're not just taking stats off the paper or a highlight reel of some of his best throws. We weren't convinced when we watched him, despite his 329 yards and 2 touchdowns. So yeah, I think the Falcons they've got that win behind them. They've had the bye week, so they're going to be fit, healthy, fresh.
Yeah.
And whereas Miami are coming off a big loss for them. It's not far to travel from Atlanta to Miami, so I don't think home field advantage is overly there. They're very, very close in terms of where they are. So that's not going to. It's not like going to Green Bay in the winter or going to the Patriots in the winter. It's not that type of advantage. So yeah, I think the Falcons will win that one as well. I think the next game up on my list is the one you were on about. We're now going to talk Jets Patriots. I think there's a lot more people going to watch that just because everyone loves the Patriots for some reason. But
yeah, I mean, they've got the line as the over-under's 42.5. I mean, you could see this going under. To be honest, the Patriots are big run game. If you want, I mean, Damian Harris seems to be the guy, doesn't he? That's taken over that job now. He's 65 anytime touchdown. So, I mean, that's not an awful bet for you. Again, as we said with Tua, Zach Wilson, we saw him. It wasn't great. It was quite poor. I don't know. I can't see the Jets winning this. I think the Patriots, again, they've got the slightly more experienced team. The Jets have had quite a lot of injuries from the start of the season. And to be honest, there's just not a lot there, is there, with the Jets? It's just, I think Zach Wilson maybe in time will come good. He's just not there yet. And it kind of feels like the whole organization is on his back, as in like he's having to deal with everything. And I think it's just going to be, just a little bit too much in this game, because I think although Mac Jones is a rookie as well, I just feel like the Bill Belichick scheme just seems to suit better. And everyone came out and said that Jones was the guy who was more NFL ready. So I think it's kind of proven a little bit, because he's not been bad. He's in times he's been okay. So yeah, I think it's going to be a bit of a grinding performance between the two teams. But yeah, I mean, I think the Patriots will take this one.
Yeah, I think if you go back and watch all the previous games from Mac Jones and Zach Wilson in their NFL career, you'll notice that Mac Jones has just got that NFL mind already. What is he? Is he thrown one interception and that's it?
Yeah, it's something like that, isn't it?
It was last week, wasn't it? So he'd gone through the first 5 weeks without even throwing an interception. Whereas you've got Zach Wilson, don't mean to be harsh, but literally running around like a headless chicken, throwing really poor interceptions as well. Like it's people that aren't even anywhere near the ball. And I think that's the difference we're seeing from the two of them, that Mac Jones with Bill Belichick is just seeing the field better. And there's not a problem on that Patriots defense at the minute. It is quite consistent. So that being said, I think, it's a divisional rivalry. The Pats will want to go in there and stamp their authority on this game, I think. And I think the Pats will, with that in mind, come out and roll them. I don't think it'll be a close game. I think they'll manage the clock well, and they'll put the scores on the board, and it'll just be sort of the Pats that we've seen in the past against this one. I know they've not managed to do that against the bigger teams, but against the smaller teams, I think we'll see the old Patriots coming alive again with clock management and just putting points on the board. So yeah, I think it's going to be an easy win for the Patriots. I don't see much from the Jets, but like we've said, they weren't going to light up the world this year. No. It is a rebuild process. They think they've got their guy. So I think it's going to take them 2 or 3 years to even build that into something that we're even interested in looking at. So, it's not disappointing from them. It's just what we expected from them. But yeah, Patriots win that. The next game up on my list is the Panthers at the Giants.
So, I mean, obviously you're going to know a little bit more, being the poor Giants fan that you are. It's decimated, isn't it? It's ridiculous how many injuries the Giants have got at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, there's 4 big names on defense. The whole O-line sort of banged up. It's not fit, the O-line at all. It's not been good and it's not fit. And then wide receiver core, running back, Daniel Jones taking massive hits. I'm not sure I think they made the wrong move in playing him last week. I think he should have just we know we're not getting playoffs out of this season with how we've started. So why risk him? Just rest him and let him get back. He took a massive hit the week before. So I think with healthy players and everything like that, I'd say we compete in this game, but Panthers are still in with a shout. They've not looked anything like the way they started the season, which is really big shock. But they've had some injuries on the defensive side of the ball as well. So, they've had to mix it around and move and put some new players in. But I just think that their organization at the minute and their franchise is 2 steps ahead of our backups. So I think it's going to be a tough game for us, and it's going to be very reliant on maybe 2 or 3 names for the Giants, even keeping them in the game. So yeah, I think Panthers. This one.
Yeah, I agree. I've kind of gone with the Panthers. I think they are just that little bit better, purely because of the amount of injuries that there are with the Giants. I mean, you take your starting running back away, you take your main wide receiver, your number 2 wide receiver as well, normally out as well. I mean, it's really difficult. The O-line has struggled because of injuries and like you say, just not being great. So personally, I think Darnold hasn't been as good in the last couple of games, but I do feel like he has played some tough teams at this sort of like the opening few weeks, and I think that is something that you're going to maybe see a little bit more in the next sort of couple of weeks, that you might see his performances improve a little bit. And, you know, although they're without Christian McCaffrey, they do seem to still be getting the points on the board and not doing too bad. I mean, I know they lost to the Vikings, but they still put up 28 points, I think, to the Vikings last week. I mean, so, you know, it's not awful. So, yeah, I think they'll probably take this one.
Yeah, I think Chuba Herbert's done quite well filling in as the rookie. And I think there's lots come out about they might be in the market to try and pick up Marlon Mack, I think,
right,
or Ronald Jones, I think. So they are looking to strengthen that, which I think is a good sign that they do think they can push for the playoffs this year. So they're definitely not writing it off this season yet. So that's always a positive, that the team mentality is still push, whereas I think the Giants is survive. So I think that pushes the Panthers. Next game's an interesting one. I think start of the season we'd say this is an easy one to discuss, but it's the Bengals at the Ravens, two teams that are very in form at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, I've kind of been, in a weird kind of way, I've been sort of championing the Bengals all throughout the season. It's been a bit weird. I think first it became a joke because they were just up against all the AFC North teams, and now I've kind of stuck with it because they're actually doing all right. Yeah, personally myself, I think the Ravens are going to be too strong in this game. I know they've got a lot of injuries, but I think, we're talking about Lamar Jackson possibly being the MVP a couple of weeks ago, and nothing's really changed. I mean, he's still doing amazing for that team. You're starting to see Mark Andrews kind of get a little bit more involved. The running backs, it doesn't seem to matter who the running back is. They're fine. And although I really like the Bengals, I think they've been great. I just feel in this particular matchup, historically they haven't been able to deal with Lamar Jackson. And I think that will continue in this one. Having said that, I do think that it will be competitive. I think the Bengals will score on them. And because they're playing the Ravens, if you go to, I was having a look on Bet365, they got Jamar Chase at 9-4, anytime touchdown. He's looked pretty good on any one-on-one coverage so far. So, it's not a bad value bet really for an anytime touchdown for a guy who's scored as many as he has already. But I do feel that the Ravens are going to be too strong for them.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'd easily just say the Ravens are going to win this one naively. But I think that every week, I mean, I like the Bengals because I really championed Joe Burrow through his time at LSU. I thought he was really underrated straight off the bat, coming from Ohio. And I used to tell Freddie about him all the time, and he used to be like, "No, he's definitely going to be good in the NFL." Because a lot of people are like, he's just a college quarterback, that's it. So I've got a bit of a thing where I want the Bengals to win games, and they've been proven to be good. And I don't want to say they're going to get blown out, but I do think the Ravens now, they've sort of got some wins under the belt and they're proving themselves from behind. I think I just think they're going to come out there. The defense seems to be clicking a bit more. I think the Ravens win it comfortably, despite the fact that Bengals have managed to keep every game close, I think.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be, like I said, I don't think it'll be a massive win. But, I mean, they've got them, the over, sorry, not the over underline, the spread, they've got them at 6.5. So Ravens are 6.5 point favourites. I do feel that I think it could be very close. And certainly a lot closer than before.
Yeah, I think that's the easy one to say, that it'll be close, because the Bengals have kept everybody close. But I'm just going to stick with my gut here and say I think the Ravens win it comfortably.
Yeah.
It's a tough one for me in fantasy, because anything I've been putting in, I've been struggling to play people against the Bengals because they have done well. But yeah, I think the Ravens have got this. That I think that's it for all the 6 o'clock games. That's what we've got to look forward in all the early kickoffs for us. So we move on to the late kickoffs, and we'll start off with the Eagles versus the Raiders.
So I personally, I just think that the Raiders are just going to be that little bit too strong for the Eagles in this particular game. I think I actually think getting rid of Gruden is a positive thing for the Raiders. A lot of people think otherwise, but I do think it's a positive thing. I think last week showed that they've now got this mentality of togetherness, because they kind of almost feel a little bit wronged by what's happened. And I think that is something that is going to help them a lot. Having said all that, I have just noticed that we've just had some breaking news on my sleeper app anyway, saying that Darren Waller was put on the injury report, doesn't feel great, and they don't know whether he's going to play. So that's going to be a massive loss for them. And the one good thing for the Eagles is that they've got Dallas Goedert back, because he does kind of feel a little bit like the safety blanket for Jalen Hurts. So I think with that in mind, to me, I still feel like the Raiders will. It's kind of a bit of a coin toss. It's quite an even game, I think, but I do feel that the Raiders, that the defenses are quite similar, but I think the offenses, I think the Raiders just put up that more points compared to what the Eagles will. And so for that, I think I'll probably go for the Raiders.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think John Gruden being out is probably a good thing for them. I think we're now seeing it's Derek Carr's Las Vegas Raiders, which I think is great, because when they went against the Broncos without a head coach, we saw Derek Carr throw complete 18 of 27 for 341 yards and 2 touchdowns. He managed the game excellently. He's looked this season in great form, and I think if he's been around the league long enough to go, like the feel that you got from like Peyton Manning when he was at the Colts, they let him run what he wanted to run. I think you could do that with Carr at the Raiders and get good. He knows when to come out of the run and throw. He knows vice versa. Throw's not an air, that's audible and change to the run. He's very good at that, and I think putting it on his back and just saying, go out and do your stuff, I think that's enough for the Raiders then to push forwards, which Gruden was probably holding them back.
I think the other thing with Carr is what a lot of people forget is how good he actually was before that really bad leg injury that he had. I mean, he was considered one of the best quarterbacks in the league. So, obviously having such a long time out and having such a bad injury, it's going to take a long time to come back and feel comfortable and stuff like that. So I do feel like he is starting to get there again. So, he gets, I think a lot of people just assume that he's not very good because he showed a lot of seasons that he wasn't great. But actually, it kind of feels like he's now at a point where he's starting to feel comfortable in the system that they have. And although Gruden has gone, you do kind of feel like, the guy who's taken over was part of the system anyway. So actually the system remains. It's just that they've changed the guy. That's all. So I don't think it will really affect them too much. And if, like I say, there does feel like quite a strong mentality there.
Yeah, I think he's underrated, massively underrated. And I think the Eagles don't look great every week. I think it's the Raiders have looked good every week. The Eagles are 50-50, I think. So I think if you can keep Jalen Hurts quiet, I think they'll win that comfortably. So yeah, I'm sticking with the Raiders for that one. We move on to our next game, which is the Lions at the Rams. So Jared Goff going back to California and going up against his old team.
Yeah, I think now we're starting to see there's a few games here, isn't there, that you've got some really big favourites in. Look, I can't see the Rams losing this one. I think this is going to be quite an easy victory for them. There's been a lot, the Lions have just struggled. You got Dan Campbell calling out the quarterback now as if that's going to help. I think the Rams will win it quite easily. I mean, the one thing I would say, and I said it a little bit in the fantasy one, some of these point spreads I think are insanely high. I mean, you've got 16 points for this one. I wouldn't be going anywhere near any of these bets because you just never know. I could see the Rams just completely blowing them out in the first half and then taking it easy in the second, and the Lions coming back but never actually getting to beat them. So I think, yeah, to me, I think it's an easy one for the Rams myself.
Yeah, I think there's even been talk about Jared Goff being dropped sometime soon. They reckon he's not going to make it through the season being the starter. And I think if the Rams do go up and in front, you know what happens when the Rams have got the lead at half time. They have never been beaten since Sean McVay's been there. So, I think that's a comfortable win. I think you will. I'd even probably take the massive spread on that. I think they could win by 14 plus. We'll move on from that one because I don't think anyone's saying anything different to that. I think they've done well with the fact that they lost Cam Akers and Sonny Michel and Darrell Henderson have filled in well. So let's talk about another game that could be another blowout. It's Texans at Cardinals.
Yeah, again, pretty much exactly the same, really. I think the Cardinals are going to win it easy. If you want to bet DeAndre Hopkins 21-20 anytime touchdown scorer, I mean, it's a revenge game, isn't it? He's going to want to get a touchdown. 6-1 first touchdown as well. I mean, it's a big price for first touchdown that it could come in for someone like Hopkins. The Texans still, unfortunately, ever since Tyrod Taylor has been injured, they just haven't been able to really do a lot. So I think with that, it's, again, an easy win. I think the Cardinals will take it. I don't know if I'd want the 18-point deficit at the beginning, but yeah, I think the Cardinals will win it quite easily.
Yeah, I think this is a fairly easy one to call. And if DeAndre Hopkins does get touchdowns and James Conner gets touchdowns, I'll be very happy because they're both in my fantasy team. So that's going to be a bonus for me. But yeah, the Cardinals offense just looks ridiculously fantastic at the minute. So, and the Texans haven't looked the same, as you said, since Tyrod Taylor's been out. So yeah, easy win for the Cardinals. The next game we're going to talk about, a lot of people might say it's an easy game, but I'm not so sure. It's Bears versus Buccaneers.
So, yeah, well, to me, I think it probably will be quite an easy game. I think the Bucs are definitely a cut above. I think they'll end up certainly in the playoffs, quite probably in the Super Bowl again. The Bears, they've kind of struggled a bit on the offense. Justin Fields hasn't really got it going, but, he is a rookie, so you can't expect too much from him. I think that you'll find that the Bucs will take it relatively easily. And, it's just like I say, there's a lot of home wins in this lot this week. And there's a lot of strong teams at home, and I can't see the Bears getting near them, really.
Yeah, I do agree that the Buccaneers will win this one. They are just a lot more talented off the board. But I just think the Bears might hold on to them longer than what we expect. Apologies if there's some feedback in this. I can hear myself reverbing back if I've had the camera. But yeah, I think they might hold their own for a little while, and the Buccaneers edge. So we move on to the late game, which is the Colts versus the 49ers.
Yeah, I think this will probably be quite a close game. I mean, I do like the Colts. I think that Carson Wentz has kind of got it going now. He certainly seems a lot better than what he was before, and I think that it's probably because he's fully fit. I still think the 49ers, with that scheme, I think Jimmy Garoppolo's back. It didn't really seem to work particularly great with Trey Lance. So I think with that in mind, I think the 49ers will take it. But I just kind of feel like it's going to be quite a close game. I don't think there'll be a lot. One bet that I did see that I thought would be really good, Mo Ali Cox. Carson Wentz loves a tight end. He always has done. And I think that Mo Ali Cox at 5-1 for any time touchdown is a great bet. And I think with that in mind, that's probably a bet to go for. But I think the 49ers would probably just be a little bit too strong for him.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with the Colts with this one. I feel like, as I said on the main show, that the last 3 weeks they've really got it going on offense, and they've really been clicking well. The 49ers, on the other hand, I think they're relying on, those big plays, those like magic plays that sort of like you don't get every week. So I don't think against the Colts that's going to wash. So I feel like the Colts are going to edge this one. It'll be a close game, but I think I've got the Colts winning this one. I just think that they've had a very tough start to the season, facing very tough teams, and it's now their chance to push and challenge the Titans. So we move on to our Monday night fixture, which is the Saints at the Seahawks.
Yeah, I think the Seahawks are now going to struggle because Russell Wilson's not there. I think it's as simple as that when it comes to the Seahawks. And the Saints have shown that they've still got a really good defense. They're not as good as what they were offensively, but when you've got players like Kamara there, it's still going to work well for them. And I think because of that, you've got to go for the Saints in this one, because as we saw with the Seahawks against the Steelers last week, they're just not putting up the points with Geno Smith, and it's just they've lost Chris Carson as well to injury, and so I think it's just a matter of really time for the Seahawks now as to when Russell Wilson can get back and start winning games again. So I think for that one, I'll go for the Saints.
Yeah, I think the Saints have been more impressive than what I thought they were going to be this season. I thought they were going to struggle a little bit more, but they haven't. Their defense looks to be playing well. It hasn't been as good over the last couple of weeks as it was at the start of the season, but they're playing against the Seahawks backups again. I know the Seahawks picked up Jacob Eason this week, the quarterback that's been at the Colts. I liked him at the Colts. I liked him at college. He's got a massive arm. So, whether they're going to bring him in instead of Geno Smith when you've got DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett running down the field, it might be an option going forward. It's not going to be this week because he won't know the playbook, but that might make a difference. But yeah, the Saints, for me, they've got more starters fit. So I think they've got some wide receivers coming back as well, which is a bonus for them. So yeah, I think the Saints are just too strong, and the Seahawks were reliant on Russell Wilson being the magician that he is. So I'm going for the Saints in this game as well. So that's all of our fixtures that we've got. I was trying to remember during the whole of that conversation, all the people you had on the bets for anytime touchdown. See if you could put them in a fourfold, because I think you had DeAndre Hopkins, Jamar Chase, Mo Ali Cox. I think if you put them in a treble, I think the odds would be pretty good.
Yeah, I think the Mo Ali Cox one is probably more of a punt than anything else. But I have to say, you've got DeAndre Hopkins, Jamar Chase, Damian Harris. I think for the Patriots, I think is probably one that is likely to come through, and also Derrick Henry as well, who just seems to score touchdowns for fun all the time. So I think you've got 4-7, 6-5, 9-4, and 21-20 there. I mean, I don't know what the fourfold would be, but it would. It probably wouldn't be too bad. So yeah, it might be worth having a go.
That's definitely the way I'd be going. I wouldn't be having them as single bets. So we're trying to put them all in as one. So, or maybe just trying to stick any receiver from the Rams in your bet. I think that might work. Is there any breaking news? Have we got anything coming out from the injuries? Do we know anything?
No, I haven't really. Like I say, apart from the Darren Waller one, I haven't really seen anything much today. I know they were saying, like we said, about Julio Jones. that he's going to be playing, but I mean, how good he's going to be with all the hamstring issues he's had, we don't really know. So, yeah, I think the big one seems to be Darren Waller at the moment.
It looks as if Tyreek Hill's still questionable with a quadricep injury. He didn't practice Wednesday and Thursday. Do you think there's?
Yeah, I think they still think he's probably going to play. I think that as we were saying with the fantasy show, it's like there's a lot of questionable on Wednesday and Thursday. It's very difficult to kind of get it so that you know who's going to be able to play. But I feel that from what I've heard about Hill, I think he probably will start and suit up.
Yeah, I think the only other one I've just noticed was Alex Collins is questionable, but he practiced as well, so I think he'll be fine. And DeAndre Swift is questionable, but I think he's questionable every week, isn't he, before the game starts?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
So, yeah, I think the Darren Waller one's probably the one to keep an eye on.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, that's our predictions for this week's preview show. Thank you for tuning in. I know we had quite a few viewers. We had one comment during it, and that was from our good friend Byron, who you've probably seen from the fantasy show. He thinks that the Ravens secondary aren't strong enough to deal with Jamar Chase. I mean, that's probably a fair shout, as the secondary of the Ravens has had a few injuries. But that's one to watch, because Jamar Chase is looking like Rookie of the Year so far this year.
Yeah, it does seem to be going that way. I mean, he's looked really good, hasn't he, against a lot of the teams? And I mean, they haven't necessarily played anyone great, but I think that he's got a good shout for it, because when you look at the others, there hasn't really been any of the other rookies have been amazing. So he seems to be the one who's on the team that's improved as well. So I think that helps.
Yeah, like I say, best of luck to everyone's teams this week. Hope it all goes well. Hope you enjoy Red Zone or whatever you're watching your games on. Adam has uploaded some of his betting advice onto all of our socials. So if you did want to take him up on that, go and have a look. Don't forget that our main show will come out on a Tuesday or Wednesday next week. The fantasy show is usually on a Thursday. But best of luck to you all this week, and enjoy the NFL. Cheers, guys.